Okay, I made a mistake and I want to keep this pretty close to raw and unedited so that I can really share what my thoughts are. So I took down, well, today's video, and for those of you that didn't see it, it was me saying and talking about why you should dive. And I still stick by most of the things I said in that video, talking about, look, if you get contact, it's a foul, you should go over. There'll be a link to Matt's video in the description, Become Elite. He has made a 2-minute 40 video on that, so you can watch that after this one. I think it's something that you guys should definitely give a watch. But the more I've thought about this and the more people commented, I always read your comments and I always take them into consideration unless they are extremely stupid, then I choose not to take them into account. But a lot of you said, Sheldon, what you did was embarrassing. Sorry, just close the curtains. Now what people are referring to is this incident right here where I received the ball, I got a challenge from behind, studs up, the guy didn't touch the ball. It was a horrible challenge, and people were saying that it was embarrassing the way I reacted to that. Now, what I will say is, the more I've watched it, because as you guys comment and say how embarrassing it was, I watched it, and the big problem was, in the commentary, I said something along the lines of, this challenge didn't hurt a whole lot. And the reason I said that is because I thought, you know, if I'm 100% completely honest, I thought that it was cool to sort of get that free kick outside the box and, you know, I played on afterwards. The initial contact of this challenge, it hurt. It studs up from a guy who's quite big into my ankle. And if you guys have ever had a challenge into your ankle with studs, you know that it hurts. Now, for the sort of theatrics, you can call it if you like, afterwards, I then went on to analyze a lot of other players, top players who, when they get fouled, I didn't even really care what the foul was. I wanted to see how they reacted after a foul. And I looked at real fouls, fouls where guys are getting kicked, and Messi's a great example because he would get kicked. There was one, you guys might remember this, I'll put it on screen right now. I think it was in an El Clasico where Pepe comes over and steps on his hand. Now, his hand is here. And what he does is he rolls over, I think he does 2 rolls, and is grabbing his hand. Now, yes, his hand hurts, but he wasn't there going, oh my goodness, I need to react in a way to get the ref to give this guy a card. He's reacting to pain, and that's what I did. And now, I want to say that I'm sorry for what I said about I reacted the way I did to get the guy a card. That was probably one of the latter things on my mind afterwards. But that initial reaction to pain, if you guys have had pain before, you don't really have much control over your body. I went down and all of a sudden I was on the ground. I was like, wow, okay, now I'm here. And it's not much I could do. Do I stand by my comments about getting red cards for other players? I think in the back of our mind, we would always love to play against 10 men. It's why we see, and I'm sure as all of us, when the rule was in place where if the guy wasn't 10 meters and he stood in front of the ball, if you kicked it into him, it would be a yellow card. So technically that's the same sort of thing. If you're the sort of guy who goes, it's embarrassing to try and get players other cards, then it would be embarrassing to kick the ball into another player. You're trying to gain an advantage for your team. Yes? Look, I want to say I'm sorry for leading you guys down the wrong path and not telling the right story and trying to change it to something I thought was right. I'll be taking more time in my game analysis commentary to make sure that when I say things, I'm getting the correct point across, because I do not want to have something like this again where things are blown out of proportion. We're no longer focusing on the journey, we're focusing on something silly. So to sum up, this was painful. It hurt for, I don't know, 30 seconds. I didn't need physio attention. I ran afterwards, but there was a bit of pain there because the initial contact hurt and I didn't really have control over how many rolls I did or what part of my body I held. Secondly, again, I'll say I'm sorry for not being clear enough with the explanation of what actually happened in the video. I may need to make the videos longer when things like that happen, so that I can be super clear with everything that's going on, and I'm not just skimming it and putting it past as if, nothing really happened. And finally, will I do this again? It's, you don't know. You never plan for something like this. Pain is pain, and you always react differently. I've seen players sometimes get kicked and their immediate reaction is get up and straight away try and hit the guy. And maybe it didn't hurt a whole lot. There's different levels of pain and everyone reacts differently. Do you have to roll around like I did? I mean, you don't know. When you get the pain, it would be interesting to do a study where I got 100 people and that guy did the same challenge on 100 people. It would be interesting to see how everybody reacted, because we would all be different. I did not intentionally get fouled and think to myself, I need to roll around. I want to make that clear. I did not intentionally get fouled and think, right now I need to roll around, otherwise it's not going to be a foul. I knew it was a foul. The guy smashed me in my leg. It was a reaction to pain. Like I said, Messi had reaction to pain, and we're not all sitting here going, oh my goodness, you got stepped on your hand, are you serious? And you're rolling around 2 times. I sit there and go, oh, that's kind of nasty. And then my brain doesn't even think about how he reacts, because we're not in his situation. So that's all I really have to say. I hope this clears things up, and I truly hope we can move on and focus on the journey, because that's what I want to do. It's a shame that sometimes, I've had this multiple times, where we sometimes get a little bit sidetracked on things. So please, can we focus back on football? I'll try to make sure that nothing like this happens again. I will try to not purposefully roll around after a foul, but reaction to pain, it's reaction to pain. You don't really have a whole lot of control over what you do. Could I have just laid there? Again, it's pain. You react in whatever way. So I'm gonna end it there. Let's move on as a team and let's continue this journey, please.